Hello, welcome to Barenaked Music. I am, as always, your host, Barenaked Lewis. And I'm going to start off with an apology. Last week I didn't have a video up. Events overtook us here at the international headquarters of the multimedia entertainment conglomerate that is Barenaked Music. Wasn't able to get a video done, and so to all my loyal viewers, I'm sure there's at least 3 of you out there. To all my loyal viewers, my sincerest apologies. But we're back this week, and we're doing something a little bit different. I know, say it with me, we're doing something different this time. But actually, this is the first album review that we're doing. I wasn't expecting to be doing a lot of album reviews when I started doing these videos because, let's face it, most of the albums that I listened to, most of the music that I listened to was recorded 50 and 60 years ago now. And so I'm not expecting there to be a whole lot in the way of new releases. But we've got one here. I am those who know me know that I am a big fan of several bands that begin with the letter B. I'm a big fan of the Beach Boys. I'm a big fan of the Beatles. I'm a big fan of Bachman Turner Overdrive. And I'm a big fan of Barenaked Ladies. I love Barenaked Ladies. I first started listening to Barenaked Ladies late 90s when they released Brian Wilson as a single, re-released it as a single, but they released the live version from their Rock Spectacle album. And I loved that song, went out, got that album, loved that album, and have been a firm fan of Barenaked Ladies ever since. And they've got a new album, just came out here a couple weeks ago. It's called In Flight. When it was released, it was available for streaming first, and then the for those of us dinosaurs who actually prefer to own a physical medium, those came out a couple weeks later. But it's been out for a few weeks, and I've been able to listen to it several times. So I thought that I would give you my thoughts on this very quickly. Our very first album review here at Barenaked Music. Ready? Okay, so let's dive in here. Before we get into the album review, of course, this is a Barenaked Music video, so we've got to have the subjectivity notice. There's no such thing as objectively good or objectively bad art. There is only art that I like and art that I do not like. And as long as we keep that in mind, this is a wonderful conversation. It only goes off the rails as soon as one or the other of us starts thinking in terms of being right and or wrong. So let's not do that. This is my sense of the album. Take it with a grain of salt. Your mileage may vary. We do not see the world in the same way, and so you could very well see this album completely differently. The point is not... we're not participating in this conversation so that I can convince you that I'm right. I'm not participating in this conversation with the assumption that I'm going to be bending you to my will. We're participating in this conversation so that we can see the world from somebody else's perspective for just a few moments. That is just a net gain across the board. Cool? Cool. Now, let's jump into this thing. We've got 14 tracks on this album. And I will say, okay, for those of you who are big Barenaked Ladies fans, we've got a dividing line. I'm not going to go too much into the band itself because, heads up, there's some Barenaked Ladies content coming here on the channel. But there's a fault line that runs within the discography. The original lineup of the band featured as the primary vocalists and songwriters Stephen Page and Ed Robertson. And then, after certain events, the principal singer and songwriter of the band became just Ed Robertson. Stephen Page left the group. And for a lot of fans, that's when Barenaked Ladies died, because a lot of people really like Stephen Page. I really like Stephen Page myself. I've followed his solo career. I'm a big fan of Stephen Page. But I still like the Barenaked Ladies, and I think some of the work they've done since Stephen Page left the group is as good as anything that they did with Stephen in the group. So I just point that out if you're a Barenaked Ladies fan, and if you are of the mindset that says that they have done nothing worthwhile since Stephen left the group, know going into this that we disagree on that point. So the Barenaked Ladies, in their current lineup, we've got Ed Robertson as the guitarist and vocalist, primary vocalist. We've got Kevin Hearn as a multi-instrumentalist and another prime vocalist. We've got Jim Cregan as the bassist, sings lead on a handful of songs, and we've got Tyler Stewart as the drummer. And Ed, Kevin, and Jim have all written songs on this album. More about that in a second. We're starting off. Track number 1 is a song called Love and Life, was one of the 2 songs that I believe they've been released as singles off of this thing. Don't really pay attention to that anymore. And I've got essentially the same comment for both of these songs. It's the first 2 songs, Love and Life and One Night. Both co-written by Ed Robertson. Love and Life is Ed Robertson. I'm reading off my notes here because I'm not going to remember this. Written by Ed Robertson, Kevin Griffin, and Steve Aiello. One Night, written by Ed Robertson and Kevin Griffin. And I've got the same comment for both of these songs. I've given them both the same grade. They're both B- songs. They're not bad. They're decent songs. I would encourage you to listen to them. So in a way, I recommend them. But I don't think they're particularly strong songs. My notes are largely forgettable radio pop. I can almost hear them arranging the lines for the rhymes. One of the hallmarks of Barenaked Ladies is they have very witty lines, very, very witty lyrics with a pace, a rapidity that makes rhyme schemes stand out because they're going through so many words so fast. And very often you can see them setting up the rhyme at the end. And that's particularly noticeable on both of these songs. The example I've got in my notes is from One Night. You're right in front of me. I've got a melody. If you've got a malady, I've got the remedy. Yeah, that is the lyrical equivalent of the yellow pylon sign that you see out in the hall that says, wet floor, right? Danger, lyrics under construction here. They're decent songs, but they're radio pop tunes. And not the strongest songs on the album. Our third song is called Enough Time, written by Kevin Hearn, who is also the vocalist. And okay, I've got to take a quick break here. I like Kevin Hearn. I think Kevin Hearn is a gifted musician. He's got a wry sense of humor that I like as well. I think I would enjoy meeting him and getting to know him. That being said, I don't care much for his songs. Kevin Hearn's songs often to me sound like lyrics that were kind of just scratched. I've got to have some words to stick in here. So I'm walking down the street. I look down and see a leaf. That's when I realize, grief. I was going to feel some grief, right? I mean, I'm not particularly impressed with Kevin Hearn as a songwriter. This song in particular has a frustrating bit at the beginning. It opens up with a do 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 kind of a melodic refrain that is actually sung. It's do 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 do. It's I'm not trying to mimic a saxophone or anything. And there's one of these do's that hits a note, right? A do 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 do. It's got that kind of stair step thing coming down. And on one of the landings of this stair step, the note that he hits is a good semitone, maybe even full tone higher than the note I'm expecting. And so when I'm listening to it, it's to my ears, it sounds the same as if I'm walking down a flight of steps and one of the steps has a riser that is markedly shorter than the other. So I'm walking along and I hit that one thing. It's like, yeah, right? And that bugs the hell out of me. He hits the same note every time. So I know it's intentional, but it still bugs the hell out of me. It's just, yeah. One of the notes in the do-do-do riff seems off to me. The lyrics are banal, common with Kevin's songs. I'm giving it a C. It's competent, it's professionally done, it's just not to my taste. Now, that means the album starts at a negative, right? We've got two radio pop tunes that are broadcasting for an audience that I am not part of. We've got Kevin Hearn, who is writing songs that I'm not particularly fond of. So we've stumbled out of the gate. But starting with track number 4, we recover, because track number 4, we've got "What Do We Need," written by Ed Robertson. That I'm giving a good solid A minus. My note is it's written for the unplugged segment of the show. Anytime they're performing in concert, they have a bit. The ones that I've seen them in concert probably a half dozen times, and it's a common feature. So I'm pretty sure they do it most of the time. But they've got a segment where they come out. Tyler comes out from behind his drum kit and is either playing a champagne kit or a set of bongos or something like that. Jim switches over to his upright bass. Kevin is usually wearing an accordion, and they stand around a single microphone and they sing songs. And this obviously was written for that, because it's got that feel to it, it's got that sense to it. And it is a much stronger song than the two that Ed co-wrote. Ed wrote "What Do We Need" by himself, and I'm giving it a good solid A minus. I think it's a very good song. Coming up next, track number 5 is a song called "Just Wait," written by Jim Cregan and Anna Hill. I think I know who Anna Hill is, and I'm going to put a crawl down here to verify it so that I don't say it and embarrass myself. I'm pretty sure Anna Hill is Jim Cregan's wife. I'm going to double check that. And I love this song. Oh my God, do I love this song. "Just Wait" is the name of it. And Jim should write more songs. This one is a peach, is my note here. I'm giving it a good solid A+. Consistently, when Jim writes songs on these albums, they tend to be the songs that stand out for me. I love Jim Cregan as a songwriter. I think he's got a very good ear for melody. I think he's got a very good sense of chord progression. I mean, he's one of the better bassists out there in the rock world as far as I'm concerned. And he's got a nice voice. I will admit it's not a voice I think that I could listen to over the course of an entire album, because it's fairly high pitched. But it's a good voice. I mean, he sings accurately. He's got a good quality to it. I mean, I really like Jim Cregan, and I really like his songs. And "Just Wait" is a winner. Coming in at number 6, we've got the 6th track. This is not a top 10, even though I am having a nice cold Schofferhofer. But Schofferhofer is not the unofficial sponsor of Papa Nick's Music's album review series. It's just what I like to drink. The 6th track is called "Waning Moon." It's a very nice ballad. It's got some accordion work on it. We just had some accordion work back on "What Do We Need" a couple of songs ago. The only real note I've got besides "nice ballad" is a little accordion goes a long way, guys. Written by Ed Robertson. Strong song. I give it a good solid A. Track number 7. We've got another Ed song. It's called "50 for a While." Snappy old-timey groove, my notes read. A lot going on in the accompaniment, but not a whole lot in the lyric. But it's a solid song. I like it. It's fun to listen to, and I'm giving it an A minus. So we've had a string here. We started out with a couple of B's and a C, and now we've been in A territory for a while, and then bam, we get right back into C land. Track number 8 is an Ed Robertson song. Now, normally I really like Ed Robertson. I like him as a songwriter. I like him as a singer. I've noticed over the last 3 albums his voice has changed, and I don't know. It was particularly noticeable on "Fake Nudes." It's one of the reasons why "Fake Nudes" is not particularly, doesn't rank particularly high in my pantheon. Spoiler alert. It was less noticeable but still present on "Detour de Force," the album they did a couple of years ago, and it's even less present but still noticeable on "In Flight." But he's got a quality to his voice now that he didn't used to have, where it almost seems like he's swallowing the tone rather than spewing it. Ooh. But I really like it. I like him as a rhythm guitarist, as a musician. I like him as a performer. I like it. Um, and I know that Ed's got a really sharp sense of humor. And so it is entirely possible that the eighth track on here is a song called Too Old, which if you listen to it without much in the way of care, you're just listening to it, it's very much an anti-woke song. It's a woke, it's a song decrying cancel culture. That's probably the way I need to say it rather than anti-woke. But you can't joke about anything these days. You know, people getting offended and trying to. And my first reaction the first time I heard this song was, "Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, you're smarter than that, Ed." No. Yes, there are things that you can't say that you used to be able to say, but it's not that you can't say them. It's that if you say them now, people react differently, right? If you want to say the N-word, you can say the N-word just as many times as you want to. There is nobody stopping you from saying the N-word. The only thing that you can't do is say it with impunity, right? We've grown. We've changed. And this has always happened. Right? You go back, you look at history, and there has always been this refrain of, we can't even make fun of the Irish now. Oh, we can't even make fun of the Chinese now. Oh, we can't even, I mean, you follow that back and it's, oh, man. So, when I see people like John Cleese, it just broke my heart when John Cleese started bitching about cancel culture, because it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, you know better than that, John. Come on. And so when I heard this song, my first thought was Ed had fallen into the same trap and was making the same point. Now that I've actually listened to it and I've got the lyrics in here that I can read along with and all of that, I think it's also entirely possible that he's actually satirizing that. The problem is, if it is satire, it's not distanced enough from the material to be clearly seen as satire. So I'm grading him down either because he's, you can't say that anymore, and I'm too old for that, which, grow the fuck up. Or it's satire that's not done well enough for those of us who are looking for it to be that, to be able to say with confidence, yes, it is satirical. So, Too Old gets a C from me. It's competently done. The music is fine enough. It's just the lyrics are irritating. And then track number 9 is another Kevin song called "The Sea, the Tower." My note is, and it's a long one, Jesus. So I got 2 C's right there, just right here in the middle of the album, just sucking it down. But then we pick right back up because track number 10 is the other Jim Cregan song, written by Jim, Anna Hill, Chris Howden, and Max Kerman. It's called "Wake Up." And my note is that "Wake Up" is maybe the best song on the album. Seriously, they should make an album of all Jim songs. I love Jim Cregan as a songwriter. Have I mentioned that? "Wake Up," good solid A+ there. Followed by, another Ed song, "Clearly Lost." His second best song on the album. I mentioned earlier that I think he's maybe starting to lose his voice, and his voice on "Clearly Lost" is a little shaky. But the quality of the songwriting is several notches better than what we had. Definitely compared to the first two, but I think even better than 50 for a While and "Waning Moon," even though I think "Waning Moon" is a very good song. I'm giving "Clearly Lost" a good solid A. Track number 12, we've got "The Dream Hotel" by Kevin Hearn. Seriously, Jesus, C. Track number 13, we've got what I think is Ed's best song on the album. That's called "I Am Asking You To," co-written with Donovan Woods, of whom I have never heard, but he's a Canadian performer of some note. It's a nice song. I'm reading off my notes. Good melody. The lyrics aren't as obviously shoehorned as the other Ed songs here. Ed's best on the album, and his voice is strong on this one too. So I really like I Am Asking You To, and if I'm giving it an A plus. Like I said, it's Ed's best song on the album, I think, and it is in class with the two Jim Cregan songs. And if we ended here, I'd be much more happy. But we've got track 14, The Peace Lady, which is another Jesus Christ Kevin Hearn song. So it gets a good solid C. When you average all of these grades together, I'm giving In Flight a B. Give me another couple of weeks to listen to it a couple more times, and I think it's possible that I might pull it up to a B plus. I don't see this ever getting up into A territory. I think it's a good album. I do recommend it. It's just not one that, I mean, if you're starting a journey of Barenaked Ladies discovery, this is not where I would suggest you start. This is, if you like Barenaked Ladies post Stephen Page, you're going to like this album. And that's how I see In Flight. If you've got a copy of the album and you agree or disagree, leave that comment below. Let me know what you think. If there are other albums that you think I should review, leave that comment below and let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. If you enjoyed the chat today, I would appreciate it if you'd click the like button. While you're down there, go ahead and click the subscribe and the notification buttons. Let's support one another. We can do this. And I appreciate it. Thanks again for watching today, and I hope that the rest of your day is bright. See you soon.